Hello and welcome to another episode of Driving Britain. Today we are in between King's Standing and Birmingham Town Centre. I think it comes under Scott Arms. We are currently heading towards Vale. The windy mic right. Thank the wagon driver for giving way to us, and we're off. Okay, as usual, we're not going to be taking the most straightforward route, and hopefully today the camera equipment won't collapse. If any of you saw Matlock and Bakewell part 1 and part 2, the whole day was a little bit tricky. Started with the car pulling out on us on part 1, and I think it was on part 2 all the mechanism holding up the camera work collapsed. So let's hope today we do a little bit better. You'll also notice, if you watch for our uploads and watch them as we upload them, that our previous 2 videos have been relaxing videos. One, a daytime relaxing video with a nice waterfall. The other one, a nighttime video with a sunset on loop, so that the picture doesn't change too much. The music's quite nice to listen to, but flat, nothing that's going to wake you up, because some people watch these videos because they find them relaxing, so that's another step towards it. But also, if you are the one that's been out driving for the day, then sometimes it's a little bit difficult to switch off at the end of the day, and so we like to watch things like that ourselves. Not watch so much, just put on in the background, so that there's just a background noise and something to occasionally focus on and stop your mind from wandering and keeping you awake. And because we like it, we figured that you might like it. Of course you might not, you might think it's just not your cup of tea and flick to one of our other videos, but that's fine. The other thing is, we are shaking up our videos a little bit. We're making quite a few changes, and this is your chance to have your input, and it's a realistic chance that your input will be implemented depending on what you say. So if there's something that you particularly like about our videos, then tell us what it is, because then we know to include more of that. Whether you prefer the videos where we're talking to you, or if you prefer the videos where it's just the car, ambient sound. If you prefer certain type of videos, certain type of scenery, you need to let us know, because if you don't tell us, then we can't make it. We're just going to be taking potluck. Oh, actually, I think that the sat-nav wants to divert us around that way, so we're going to have to do another loop, I think. Maybe. Can we do another loop? Yeah, I think we can. Well, after the wagon. Also the other way around, if there's something that you don't particularly like from the video, you need to let us know about that, because if there's something that kind of bugs you, or you think, oh well, yeah, that's alright, but it could be better, then you need to tell us, because we're not going to make those changes unless we know that you want us to make those changes. The bottom line is, we make these videos for you. We don't charge you anything for them. We don't ask anything in return. We do it because we like watching the videos, and we know that other people like watching the videos, and we think that we see things wrong with other people's videos, so we try to make ours kind of correcting for those problems. But that doesn't mean to say that we succeed, and what we like isn't necessarily what you like. Like noisy wagons. Now this is definitely not the most direct route towards Vale from Scott Arms. I don't know the area that well, but I know it well enough to know that. But at the same time, like all of these drives, we just kind of make up a lot of the route as we go along. Apologies for the very noisy wagons. As we've told you before, we use a convertible so that we can have the cameras at the top of the car, because you get a much better image. We can't just put them on top of a standard car, because we do a lot of filming inside town centres as well, and I'm not sure that they'd last very long if we did that. The only footage you'll get from it is somebody else uploading a picture of the camera being helped to run down the road very quickly by a very lively pair of feet and not any of ours. That's quite a nice little flashy bit on the back of his wagon, isn't it, for cyclists? I've never seen that before. If you didn't see it, rewind and have a look. I think that the sat-nav is going to try and pull us off in a couple of miles, so I'll come across to here because I think that's where it's going to want us to go. Let us know in the comment section what other videos from us you've been watching, which ones are your favourites. If we know what you like, we can make more of it. If we know what you don't like, we can avoid doing it again. Birmingham smart motorways, aren't they great? More deaths on smart motorways than any other motorway by something like 7-fold or something outrageous. I don't know how they stand now, but I'm sure that about 8 or 9 years ago, when they first started putting these smart motorways into action, they had a statistic which was running at something like you had around about 7 minutes on a hard shoulder, or you know, whatever lane you'd stopped on, because the hard shoulder is no longer a hard shoulder, now it's an active lane. But you had around about 7 minutes before you was likely to be hit by another car. So if you stopped on the motorway for anything in any place, including the lay-bys, you were going to be hit within 7 minutes. That's what the statistics said. I don't know how well they stand now, but I think we're at Spaghetti Junction, aren't we? I'm not really sure that cut out much of our traffic. I know it wants us to go down that way, because, and that's probably where you would go if you know the area, but I'm not going to do that because I'm fed up with the noisy road. Instead, I'm going to go back in towards Erdington and then down to the Tybern Island, because it might be less noisy. If you have been keeping up with our videos, you'll see that the other day we put out a short video for the Giant's Causeway, because we did do some filming in Northern Ireland, which will be uploaded soon. The problem that we had was we used a hire car, and the company for the hire car had stuck stickers all across the top of the windows and stuff. We had to use cameras inside the car, couldn't put them on the outside. And because there were so many stickers, we was a little bit limited on where we could put the actual cameras without it completely blocking our view. And even if we could see around them, we would end up getting pulled over by the police and saying that it is blocking our view, whether it was or not. So we've got some footage where you've got, you know, the black stuff you get around the interior mirror, showing us stuff like that, but there was nothing that we could do. We did swap the car for part of it, but some footages are alright, others not so good. What we did have was a lot of music being played in cars around us that kept on echoing through to us, and because YouTube, just like that, because YouTube are very harsh with their licensing laws, we've had to completely mute all of the videos. We're going to have to just upload some YouTube friendly music as a background music. So we will put on some footage, the best that we can kind of retrieve from it, but it's not going to have ambient noise or us talking or anything like that. I know I don't want to, do I? I was thinking I wanted to go right there, but I don't, do I? Told you I didn't know the area. Yeah, so we have put a short causeway video on. We haven't put detailed footage of the causeway and that sort of stuff because we don't want to spoil it for people that's going to go there. We literally just stood in the centre and filmed a circle so you can see exactly what you've got when you get there, including the hill leading down to it, which most people don't bother telling you about, but it's quite a steep hill, and a lot of the people that go to the causeway tend not to be the most youthful. There is a coach that leads you down there, but it's really expensive, so if you know about it in advance, you could perhaps take a motorised wheelchair or something like that. For everybody else, it'll wake you up. But yeah, not only that, the size of the actual causeway is pretty deceiving from a lot of the pictures you get. You see these, you know, big thick columns that look like they were as thick as a tree, and some of them are quite big, but most of the time it's just because the cameras are really close. So we just stood in the middle and filmed it as it was so you can see how things are yourself. But we did use a GoPro. We was using 5.2K and 120 frames a second, so you can slow it down as much as you want and you'll still get a crystal picture. But the GoPro does flatten out the picture a little bit, by quite a lot actually. So I'm not sure you'll really see how steep the hill leading down to it is, or really get a true perspective of the size of the pillars and things, but there are people sitting on the pillars and walking around them, so you can kind of compare it against the size of the average person. We will upload the rest of the footage soon, but like I say, it's taken a bit more editing than normal. In between times you get to see the causeway. Oh, and a bit of a ferry on the way out there. We went out from Liverpool Docks because we've been filming further north at the time, so we drove down to Liverpool Docks. but it was an 8-hour ferry journey through to Belfast, from Liverpool to Belfast, which I didn't think it was that far. In fact, we've filmed in Oban before, which is kind of up towards England-Scotland border, and you can see Northern Ireland across the water. So I didn't think it was quite that far. Maybe the ferry just goes really slow, but I don't think it was. Down, about not camera the microphone. Put you back there. Actually, we have a question for camera enthusiasts. Now, one of the cameras that we use for a lot of the footage is a GoPro. We tend to put it on cinematic, shooting at 4K 60 frames a second. Can go up to 5.2K at 120 frames, but that's usually beyond what most people are watching it at. But now I know that the standard idea for the cinematic is 24 frames a second, which is what TV use. I think they're between 24 and 30 frames, I think. Now, why do they use such low frames per second? And secondly, we're taking moving images. We're driving along in a car, doing all sorts of different speeds. We've also got oncoming vehicles, so the speed can easily go up to, if we're all doing UK speed limits on a motorway, that's 140 that we're going to be passing each other at. Now, I think that if we was filming at a slower, lower resolution, and if we're at 24 frames a second, then you're going to get so much happening between each frame that you're going to get not a blurry picture, but not very crisp picture, which is why we put it at 60 frames a second rather than 30. But that's from what we understand of it. Are we right? All camera people out there, let us know in the comment section what you think. The other thing that we do with the GoPros is we turn the brightness up a little bit, because they tend to have a little bit more of a dull picture. We put the colours to true colour, because otherwise when you go near anything green or red, then you end up with very, very vivid colours, and it looks just too overdone. So all camera people out there, give us your wisdom, keeping in mind that we're removing images, sometimes really quick moving images. Oh, I know what there is around here. There's a Burger King. Around the Midlands, I've noticed that there's not very many Burger Kings. I think that we seem to find them a lot more south, because as we go further north, other than the services, you don't really see any. The reason why we're going to the Fort Shopping Centre at Castle Vale is because we need some new clamps and attachments for the camera equipment from what collapsed the other day. It turns out we can get some of them from Argos. Because one of the problems with using GoPros for some of the footage and trying to buy stuff from GoPro is that we need to give a fixed address or destination to get the stuff sent out to us, and they can put, you know, up to 4 or 5 days postage sometimes. Even when you pay for the quicker postage, you still got 2 or 3 days. And we're moving around in different places filming, so to give a location where we're going to be is pretty difficult. Right, because we are going to a shopping centre, what we're going to do is pull the cameras before we get there. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, what just happened there was we cut the filming before we got into the supermarket properly, because what we didn't want to do was pull up and then start unloading all of our camera equipment. That seemed like a really bad idea. The trouble is we have quite a lot of camera equipment and not all of it is set back up. Right, that's good enough. So you do get to see some of the shopping centre, but on the way out, not on the way in. Because what we didn't want to do was then pull up and start unplugging all the cameras from around the car and then leave the car. Because that didn't seem like a very good idea. The fort is split into 2 halves and we're currently on one half of it. In one of our other videos we do show the other half, but I can't remember which video. These are slow lights. But we're currently going back up towards the Tyburn Island. What used to be Castle Vale Estate, we can go past that bit. What used to be Castle Vale Estate is on our right. We're also underneath the flight path for Birmingham Airport and only about 7 or 8 miles away from it, so planes are quite low. Yeah, Castle Vale used to be a little bit run down, big tower blocks and things like that, and they completely demolished the lot. It was one of the 60s projects where they would need to put Lego tower blocks everywhere. But they knocked them all down, I think about 10 years ago, and built big shopping malls on them. But the main bit that I do remember from around here is this road's got a lot of cameras on it. Because we do keep on coming back to the Midlands and then going off in a separate direction to film, it means that we are learning a lot of the areas around the Midlands, but we're also learning where the extra sensitive cameras and things like that are, because I've seen those cameras flash when people have been doing 39, 38 past them. We use 2 sat-navs, plus we've got a digital speeder. So we've got 3 readouts, so they're all saying the speed, and none of them were saying anything near 40. It was a while ago, but it means I don't trust them very much. As for these roadworks, we did come down here a couple of weeks ago and they've got all the roadworks here, sectioning it off from here. And all of this is just because they've sectioned off part of the A38 dual carriageway leading towards Lichfield direction because of the HS2. They're trying to build an off-ramp or on-ramp, something like that for it. And so they can do that work on the 38, they've cut off a lane on the 38. But to make sure nobody gets in that lane in the first place or near it, they've cut this one off on our left. And that would make sense, except the left lane goes towards Warmley. It doesn't come here through towards the dual carriageway. That part there on our left now, that's effective. But all of that back there, I don't see what the purpose is, because what they've done is cut off the lane that leads left towards Warmley. So now all the Warmley traffic go into the centre and right hand lane, along with all the other cars. So they're causing a bottleneck on the traffic, and the part that actually sections off all these roadworks on the left doesn't start until after that junction. Maybe I'm missing the point. If you think that it's a good idea, or if you can see why they've done it, the way that they've done it, then put it in the comment section. If you think that it's just madness, put that in the comment section. might keep slipping down. We still haven't found enough of a reason to go onto the M6 toll road. £7.60 for cars, and you only get a couple of junctions. He's got a problem. Yeah, so it's a very expensive road to go on. So if you're coming from another country to the UK, then you'll be alright, because you'll be able to trade in your currency against the pound, which is pretty useless right now, because the Chancellor's just managed to pretty much bankrupt our country. Dropped the pound to on par with the dollar near enough. Last time we were filming down here, for some reason the mic didn't work very well. Now it is really noisy. We've got the open top car surrounded in trees, so it makes it echo even more. But the camera, mic and that sort of stuff is usually pretty good. But for some reason it really doesn't like this stretch of road. And in fact I think that we might not have even used the footage because the audio was so bad. So if you're watching this, then you're luckier than you think. If luck is the right word. You will notice that we've been avoiding town centres during this journey and side roads, and that's because it's not too far past lunchtime and there's a lot of cars on the road. I know that side roads and stuff can be a little bit more fun to look at, but if we're just sitting in traffic, you're going to be staring at the same things for a long time. You're not going to get much to watch. Good Hope Hospital on the sign is in the Royal Town of Sutton Coldfield, which we are just going past. I think that's towards our left somewhere. We're currently at Bassett's Pole. Bassett's Pole is one of the areas where the highwayman and the Dick Turpin used to hang around and rob people. Hopper's Woods, or Hopper's Woods, whichever one it's called, is quite close to here. So if you know the old English stories about Dick Turpin, this is one of the places he used to rob people. The road on our left has got a main part on it about, I don't know, 200-300 metres down there, and I'm sure it's from one of the old Watling streets, one of the old Roman roads, because Watling Street goes right through and into Sutton Park, which is a main park in Sutton Coldfield. But the path around the actual park, inside the park, is part of the old Watling Street, which is the old Roman road from the horse and carriages. And Erdington, where we drove just, as we went round Spaghetti Junction Island and turned left, when we came off the motorway we went round that busy island, that's Spaghetti Junction in the middle of England. We turned left and went towards Erdington, and all the houses on the left there, they've all got coach houses on the side still. It looks like an archway to the garage, but they're actually the old coach houses from the horse-drawn carriages. And instead of an actual garage, a standard garage, it's like a really tall garage with a pitched roof, an apex roof, sloping on both sides. And it's because the horse and carriage would go to the bottom half, and whoever was in the horse and carriage would climb up a little ladder and sleep above them on like an upper floor. But those houses that we went past, you can still see, I don't know how well the camera would have picked it up, but you can still see some of the original arches. You're talking of the days from horse and carriage, regularly travelling from London towards Birmingham and Liverpool and Manchester with the rag trade and stuff. a noisy passenger. The Argos that we went to was inside the Sainsbury's. While I went off to get the bits we needed, they went off to get food. Well, no, get themselves food. I'm alright, Jack, don't you worry. Your orangutang's just grinning at me. I think if I remember correctly, somewhere around here is Swinnerton, and I think Swinnerton's a prison, either youth offenders or something like that. But I think that that's on our right around here, along with Camwell Caravans. Those of you that are into caravanning and tenting and stuff will probably know the name Camwell Caravans. I think they're quite big. Well, they used to be, I don't know about nowadays. But I think that they're on one of the left turns around here. In fact, let's take one of those turns. That's not a very big road. You have to. It's the law. Well, this is a bit different. I don't need my sunglasses in here. You will occasionally hear a rattle. That rattle is one of our heat shields. We do a lot of miles and we have different drivers, and to keep everybody encouraged to want to do the drives and do the miles, the car's been made to be quite good fun. It's not completely standard. Now, because it's not completely standard, we also had to have some of the heat shields increased around some of the bay and underneath. But one of them is rattling. We've gone through all of them about a dozen times. The car's been in the air more than times than it's been on the road. Oh, now you're a lot bigger than me. He would have been up and over us before he'd even blinked. Yeah, so the car's been up in the air more times than the average flying carpet, and we can't work out which heat shield is rattling. They're all pretty much new and they're all solid, but the sound sounds like it's coming from a heat shield, and there's nothing else we can find that could rattle. So you will occasionally hear it, but not as often as what we hear it, and it drives us all balmy. But there is, unfortunately, nothing we can do about it, because we don't even know what part of the car it's coming from. Sometimes it sounds like it's coming from the back quarter, other times from the front. Where does this go to? It's quite a nice house, isn't it? So yeah, this video is an extra one that we've made while we're out getting bits, just because we know we've not uploaded this type of video for a few days, because we've been uploading the relaxing videos. Now, they're just as important, but some of you just like this type of video. So to keep it fair, make sure that everybody is getting the types of video that you expect to see, and as often as you expect to see them, we're adding this one. We would have put the island ones up already, and so we wouldn't even need to think about recording extra. But because of the editing and because of the tight picture. The other thing is as well, some of the cameras that we have for filming outside of the car, they take incredible pictures, really high quality, up to 8K. But recording inside the car with those same cameras is a nightmare. It just doesn't work because they pick up so much from the window screen that you just lose everything. They're either flicking in and out of focus, or they're just not picking up the picture anywhere near as good as some of the cameras that we have, which we intentionally bought for using inside the car. And we can get really high quality footage from those still, but they're not 8K cameras. So where we've got a picture that's been boxed in a little bit because parts of the black stuff around the mirror and things like that are being seen, if it was using the 8K camera, we could just zoom into the image a little bit and you'll still get 6K quality at least. But if we're doing that with 3 or 4K sort of videos, let's go this way. With 3 or 4K sort of videos, then you're just not going to get that level of quality, and we want fundamentally for you to get the best picture possible. But on this particular occasion, we're going to have to go with the best compromise that we can find. You're probably going to get 4K images at 60 frames, but zoomed in very slightly. Now, I don't think it's going to be noticeable because we're not going to zoom in all the way, which is what we'd want to do so you get a clean picture. We'll just crop it halfway so that you've not got too much black in the screen, but so you're not losing quality. Sometimes, or quite a lot of times, we will purposely make the camera point towards the bonnet a little bit because it helps the camera focus a little bit better when you were going in and out of trees or between light and dark and things like that. And also it gives you a little bit better perspective. And if we've got the camera, even if we have the camera down really low on the front of the car, but not showing any car, then it sometimes makes it look like there's too much sky, which I know sounds a bit bizarre, but it just doesn't sit right as you watch it. Does depend what car we're using for filming and what type of filming we're doing, what camera. The main information we want from you, the viewer, about cameras though is about the GoPro, the settings on the GoPro, because we use GoPro 10s, but even though they should be able to do pretty spectacular things, we're struggling to get as good a footage out of them on moving images as what we would hope to get. Now, right now we're going towards the sun, so you're being dazzled a little bit. We have got lenses to be able to cover that we just haven't put on yet because it's not sunny enough to justify it. So it's not that, it's things like the frame rate and the quality that the cameras just aren't doing as well as what they should. Car has so many alarms, it's annoying. What we should do for one of the upgrades is dismantle all of the alarms. There you go past, because we're not going to be going in a hurry. This reminds me of the road by Penny Pass. If any of you have seen our South Wales video and the separate one that we did around by Penny Fan. Oh, he's turning off there anyway. Yeah, I said Penny Pass, but I meant Penny Fan. for the SAS fan dance, where the British Army and the SAS do a lot of training. The SAS do selection training there, up and down Penny Fan. And when we did the drive around there, some of the roads leading into it are pretty much as wide as the car. There's two ways into it. We came from kind of like the central Wales across to it. If you go from the Hereford side, then the roads are a little bit wider, and obviously a lot of people, military trucks and things like that, or minibuses, are bringing people up that doesn't look very good. They're coming from Hereford, because obviously the UK SAS are based in Hereford. Although nowadays I think they do a lot of their training a lot further north, because the training ground around Penny Fan just started to get a bit too popular, a bit too well known. They still do selection there, but candidates trying to get into the SAS. Part of the physical training part is the fan dance. I think it's about 10 or 11 mile up and over and back again. I think it might be 4 hours 10 to do it with full kit, about 30 kilos of kit, weapon, normal stuff. Because force march tabbing is hard work, but I'm going to have to give way to you there. Where you're going there? Beyond the fan dance, they need to pretty much run down the hills as well as up the hills. And you might think, well, running down's easier, isn't it? Not on your joints, it's not. And chance of slipping and getting an injury, which would just end selection, that would. If you picked up an injury on the early stages, you'd really struggle to make it through. We're in Little Hay right now. Shenstone is off to our right. We've done some filming around Shenstone before. Again, back to Dick Turpin, isn't it? Dick Turpin was hanging around Shenstone and Stonnell, living with someone there that you'll have to watch the video to find out about, because I don't remember. Shenstone's also one of the places for the earliest part of the railway system running through this area. I think they went to Shenstone and Sutton Coldfield. Then I'm not sure if there's any other stops before they reached Birmingham. Then there might have been. I'm sure someone could put into the comment section whether there was, but I'm sure in something like 1956 or around that sort of time, there was a really big train crash at Sutton Coldfield train station. It wasn't too long after that when they started to build up the other stations either side of it and put in a few that are now probably quite big stations, but at the time probably would have just been, yeah, a junction box near enough, a junction box with a ticket office. But when they were building these, you're on about the steam trains and the coal trains, stuff coming through. Well, we might have a couple of rattles that appear on this car now and again from the heat shield, which is our own fault because we did the upgrades. Well, we didn't personally do them, but we got them done. But at least it doesn't rattle as much as that. At least the puddle wasn't on their side. Are those harrows on the back of that? Kind of like ploughs, but they just make the grooves, just turn the soil a bit. Anybody who knows, add it to the comment section. For those of you who haven't yet subscribed, please do subscribe, because it makes a huge difference to us. More people that subscribe, that add comments, that click thumbs up, all of those things, then the more people that our videos will be able to reach, because YouTube are only going to advertise our videos to other people and let them know that we even exist if you let them know that it's worth watching, which hopefully you think it is. When you add comments to a video, it carries as much weight as when you're clicking the thumbs up, as far as YouTube are concerned, because all they're interested in is whether a video's been interacted with, popular for some reason, because it's good or bad. Everybody could be typing, I really hate these videos, but if 1,000 people are doing it, YouTube are going to think, well, you know, a lot of people are watching this, we can stick some adverts on this, it's good for us. I mean, that's what YouTube will think. It's not good for us if they stick adverts on it. We have no control on the adverts on the channel at all. We don't get to pick and choose what adverts are on there or whereabouts they appear or anything like that. That's all purely down to YouTube. But even videos that aren't particularly popular, you know, or fairly new, so they're not being watched that much, a lot of the time they'll have adverts on, so it's not like recommending particular videos is going to cause more adverts. It doesn't work like that. The adverts are just kind of speckled throughout regardless. What it means is that other people get to see the videos just like you managed to come across them and you've been watching them. If you got this far, then you must be. It just gives other people the chance to do the same. The other thing is, if you're in a country that's not in the UK, that's not the UK, you know, you're not in Wales, Scotland, you're in India or America or somewhere else around the globe, those of you in Australia, then we really encourage you and are asking you to get as many of your friends to watch as possible, because I don't know if you've ever really realised, but you don't get to see videos from other countries very often. You might occasionally, by accident near enough, come across videos like this one. If you're watching from a different country, then unless you've typed it in specifically or clicked on our channel specifically, then you wouldn't normally get offered it. Just like your TV programs, they're in a different language to everybody else, different humour and that sort of stuff. So your TV programs don't get shown in other countries, as don't get shown in your countries, or not usually. And if they are, then they're dubbed and stuff like that. While YouTube follow a similar sort of pattern, they won't advertise UK videos in other countries very often, because they'll assume that people in other countries can't understand what's being said. And the same, the opposite way around, we won't see videos from other countries very often unless we type in something really specific, because they'll assume that that's not really what we want to see, because we probably won't understand what's being said. But it's a driving video, you know, you want to see the scenery. You might be listening to us, you might understand what we're saying, but it's not really necessary. You're more likely just pressing mute and putting your own music on. Although if you was, then you wouldn't know what we're saying right now, I guess. Some of our videos we have put subtitles onto, which you can get through to your own country. But yeah, if you are in another country, then to help us get seen in your country, we need you to try and advertise us somehow, whether that's tell your friends about it, send a WhatsApp link. If you've got your own social media, put it on there. because when you watch driving videos, especially or tour videos, you generally want to watch videos from other countries, because on average you know what your own country looks like. Now, if you want to watch, say, a driving tour from another country, but YouTube don't advertise or generally let you know that those videos even exist, then how are you going to watch them? And yet, eventually through a lot of searches you might come up with something, and occasionally you find a channel where you think, oh yeah, they've got a load of good videos, so you binge watch all of theirs, but then when you run out, you're then on the hunt for another channel, and sometimes you end up with not so good videos or channels, and other times you get a good channel with loads of videos that you can stick to for ages. But wouldn't it just be nice if we was offered the videos anyway? If you type in driving tour, I bet you get a lot of videos come up, but the amount of ones that are like this, probably not that many. Don't forget, yeah, we do these videos for you to watch. That's it. Yeah, we don't ask anything in return. Fuel in England at the moment is pretty much £9 a gallon, so it takes a lot for us to make these videos, and we're not asking anything in return. But it needs to be worth it for us to make these videos, and the reason why it's worth it is if people are watching them, but not just people in the UK, people all the way around the world, and that's where you can do your part. Right, I'm going to end the video here. If you haven't subscribed already, then please do, and I hope that you've enjoyed the video.